Welcome, everybody, to If I May, a podcast with me, Dylan, an average guy, along with three of my average friends, Kyle, Nick, and Brent. Tonight, we're going to talk about different topics while interrupting as politely as possible. This is episode 44. All right, so...
We're also going to blow each other's ears, our listeners' ears off tonight.
That's right. You said you wanted a little bit more tonight, and I gave it.
Gave it all.
Oh, God. Sorry.
All right, tonight is review night. We're going to review anything and everything. And if we think of something along the way that we need to review, we'll review it. Let's start by reviewing Dylan's
Wait,
intro.
if I may, we have to set up the rules. It's either a Zaru bust or a Zaru plus.
No. This is review night. Nick is not against the Zaru, is against the Zaru bust, Zaru plus. So...
Which is why we have to do it, right?
Brent, you can do it, but Nick and Dylan,
You will
and
be
I
the
do not
only
have
one
to.
doing it.
I want to see you guys.
All right, so the parameters for this, are we talking about just like reviewing over sports, what's in the news, politics, like what are we talking about tonight?
Anything has potential as long as it's interesting. And Game of Thrones will be reviewed. We will talk about season 1, the season 8, episode 1. There will be spoilers. We will hold that for the very last topic, though. So
We
like
should
the last,
also just... We'll give a warning, too.
yeah. So if I may, we'll do that one at the very end. We'll give a warning. So if you have not seen season 8, episode 1, or through that, do not listen to the rest of that, or I apologize. Like you're just going to ruin it for the rest of your life. You don't want any spoilers. So first
mean,
The rest of your
up
life. Wow.
is Dylan's intro. How do we think that went?
Was
Well, I
awfully
can repeat my own.
energetic.
I thought so. I tried to be a little bit extra tonight.
He was a smidge close to the mic, but to be fair to him, he nailed it first try. But I was clicking in the background, and so I was like, "Crap, we got to redo it," and we redid it, and he put more into it, but it was a little too much. The trick is when you get very excited and you want to start yelling, you got to back your mouth away from the microphone so you don't blow your microphone out.
All right. So what do you guys want to start off with review night?
A little extra.
Brent,
Well,
what do you got?
I'm going to review flights. This past week, we went to Minneapolis for a little fun get-together, and I have to say, I'm kind of sick of planes. I'm going to have to say, going on something like Spirit Airline, they get a poor review from me. First
Why?
off,
What was bad about them?
the seats don't recline.
Oh,
You're going to
no.
be on a plane for 3 hours. You want the seat. Second, and this is not necessarily their fault, but the way they handled it is their fault.
The way they handled
I get
what?
on the so I'm flying to Minneapolis, and of course in
I'm
April,
glad you asked.
Minneapolis has to snow, right? Because why not just be not done with winter? Let's have eternal winter, kind of like the North.
Winter is
Anyway,
coming.
so I was planning on going and getting there Thursday at a reasonable time, or actually Wednesday night, honestly, at a reasonable time.
So that's
And-
good. If I may, we wouldn't want to lie to the listeners. We better keep it honest.
Yes, they need to know that because it makes so much sense. Well, anyway, so I get there and they delayed the flight and they delayed it again and they cancel it, which it happens. But normally I feel like if a flight gets canceled, you'd want something like, hey,
Some
there's
sort
a
of
place for you to
compensation,
stay.
some
We'll
sort of
give you
sorry.
a room. Well, they got me on a next flight, which was a day later, which was fine. But then they also just gave me like, here's $20 of food vouchers and good luck on your own in Vegas. Like sending poor little
$20
me
in
out to the
Vegas.
cold. Like I don't know.
So if I may, the airline definitely let you down. To be slightly fair to Spirit, they are one of the cheaper airlines. So like, I mean, that's kind of I took the cheapest flight I could as well. But you take a cheap flight, you got to expect cheaper service. But to review you in that situation, if I were stranded in Vegas for a night, I would only be semi-functional the next day. If I was stuck there for 24 hours and there's nothing else to do, I would be taking an Uber to the Strip. I would be having a great time, maybe not even sleeping. And as long as I'm
If I
functional
may,
enough
I would like to second
to
that
get on an
comment in
airplane,
particular.
we're good.
Yeah, what a catastrophe getting
Be
stuck in Vegas.
sleeping. I would not be sleeping the night I was stuck in Vegas.
All right, but if you're in Vegas yourself, are you gonna have as good a time as
Yes.
if like I feel like if I'm in Vegas, I want to
Maybe
share it
not
with
as good of
friends.
time, but you're gonna have a good time.
If I may, if you're riding the airline and you're fast, I would totally expect you to not be able to recline your seat very far. Like all of the seats recline a little bit, but you really can't expect much from the seat reclining.
The
No, I
record,
was-
if I may, I think anyone who actually uses the ability to recline your seat, if the other person behind you is not reclining your seat and you recline your seat, I consider you blatantly rude.
Oh, I had this one time on the flight where I was leaning forward because I have a heart. My neck gets pretty bad on flights, so I was like, I'm gonna try and sleep, but I'm gonna lean forward on the other person's chair in front of me. And then this guy, not meaning to, just like shifts around and just whacks my head. Like, oh,
Oh no!
totally got what I deserved there. Like I get it. That made sense.
I
should not
know
be
we've
putting my
talked
head
about
up.
this before, but I am a big aircraft chair recliner person. If I have the ability to recline, I'm pretty much going to recline. I do understand if I'm watching a movie or something or playing a game, I pop that thing back straight. Like I'm not. If I'm reclining, I'm sleeping. If I'm not sleeping, then no, that's not cool. But I'm a big recliner.
Yeah. Also, like 30. I think Spirit did what they could. I think the thing that got me was just 30 hours of travel for a 3.5 hour flight, which it should have been, was just a little bit too much for me. And I missed out on some good times in Minnesota, so that was kind of a bummer.
And
But
you missed yourself out on good times in Vegas.
I guess so. So, Nick, what do you want to review tonight? What's your reviewer?
I just want to review Game of Thrones primarily, but we'll hold that till the end.
I think we all do.
So one of the activities we did while Kyle and Brent were visiting Minneapolis was going to Top Golf. And my first time going to Top Golf was actually with Megan. And she took me there for, or not for Valentine's Day, but after Valentine's Day, when we got a cheap night on Tuesdays. They're like half off or something. So it was a good deal too. But she and I went there, checked it out, had a blast. My dad is rather excited at the prospect of coming to visit us in Minneapolis and going to Top Golf as well. He's a big golfer. So we had the opportunity to go to Top Golf. There's only one in Minneapolis. It's in the Northwest area. I live in the Southwest, but it was still a bit of a hike to get there. We were planning on going on Saturday, a very busy day, naturally. We called to ask, like, hey, what's the estimated wait if we are to show up randomly? The context of needing to call is they do take reservations. However, the reservations are online only. And there is
in person only. Oh, I see what you're saying. Never mind. Continue. Sorry.
To say, seems you have quite a lot of inside knowledge there, sir. If you'd like me to finish my
I thought you were talking about
description.
calling to do a reservation.
I'll bring you full circle.
I'm
I'll
following
bring
you. I got you.
I'll feed you, baby bird. Don't worry. You keep chirping.
Aw. Chirp, chirp.
At any rate, for reservations, they only take them. Yes, nice. For reservations, they only take them online, and there's a $50 fee that doesn't go towards your time in the booth. Like if you were charged $50 and that went towards your fee, that would make sense. But no, it's $50 for the right to reserve a time slot of your choosing. And they only reserve 1 week in advance. And it gets pretty crowded pretty quickly, evidently. So I said, screw that. If they take walk-ins, we'll figure it out. I called like 10, 11 in the morning, I think, maybe a little later, but not much.
Noon at the latest.
Saturday. Yeah. And then on Saturday, and they said it was like a 5-hour wait. So we planned it out to go there and get in line, essentially. Not that we wanted to stay in line for the full 5 hours, but you have to physically go there. And then once you're there, they take your information and they have your cell phone number and they'll text you when your bay is ready. And they were estimating 5-6 hours basically, which is crazy. But we timed it out around 5 or 6 o'clock to go. And we figured, okay, for something to do, we'll go watch a movie. We'll review the movie later. But that was just our starting situation. We get to Top Golf after the movie and proceed to have a good time. I think we had one of the side booths, the second furthest most right.
So if I may,
it's important.
Real quick, hold on, before we get too far into that, let's explain what Topgolf is. I guess, Brent, this was your first experience at a Topgolf. Why don't you, like, because Brent, Nick, and I have both been there. I guess, Dylan, have you been to a Topgolf?
I was actually going to ask the same thing. I've never been to a Topgolf. I kind of know what it is. There's one right downtown Nashville.
Yeah,
and I was going to say the same thing, that a lot of people don't understand what Topgolf is.
Yeah, so Brent, as the newbie to Topgolf, why don't you go ahead and explain what Topgolf is?
All right. So first off, I just want to make the point that it seems like in Minneapolis, at least, there's another indoor mini golf place that I've been to that has 5-hour waits. It seems like waiting for a long time to do stuff with golf in the Twin Cities is just the thing to do. But anyway, so what Topgolf is really quite the organization. I mean, it's an impressive display. You walk in, they have a full bar restaurant from the looks of it that people can just hang out, like sports bar, as nice as any I've seen. And then there's a bunch of different docks, a bunch of different loading bays, almost, where there's usually either chair or table, and then you can go to a giant, basically, driving range.
It's a driving range, yeah.
But it's not just like any driving. Like a lot of driving ranges, they have a few different spots that say like 150 or 200. This is one of like the fanciest driving ranges I've ever seen. There's these targets that they've set up all over the driving range of different colors that are probably a certain set distance away. But instead of just having your driving range as a one level, you're up, like Nick said, multiple levels. So you could be hitting a shot and someone's literally below you, and you can see like these two golf balls flying out at the same time, which was wild. But instead of just, everybody in your party goes at the same time, you take turns playing these games that work. There's like a chip in the ball, or Kyle can explain that later.
Yeah, there's an RFID chip in the ball, in every single ball, and when you wave your club over a little sensor to get a new ball, and that new ball gets imprinted with a tag or something that it now knows that's your ball. And when you smack the ball downrange, there's these targets set up all over the place that are like literally in the ground. So it looks like a green, except there's like bullseye looking things where there's like netting in the areas that you'd have bullseyes, but on the ground. So you're essentially playing skee ball, except with golf balls and golf clubs. So you're smacking these balls that are RFID chipped to you, and wherever they land, they get red. And then depending on how close to the center, as well as how far away the hole is from the driving range line, you get more points. So that's pretty sweet. There's the main game mode is just Topgolf, I think, where
Correct.
You literally just, what was that?
Correct. It is called, the main game mode where you just, any target that you hit is worth points, is just Topgolf.
Yeah, so you just smack the ball. If you land anywhere, you're going to get points. So that's great for pretty much anybody. If you go there for the first time, just start with that one and smack the crap out of some balls until you're having a good time, and then decide if you want to try to mess with some of the other games. One of the other ones that's fun is, I forgot exactly what it's called, but basically it tells you which target to go to. It's like, hit the red target, hit
Top
the
shot.
yellow target, top shot. Yes, you're right. So it's a high-tech driving range.
As an amateur, I usually be hitting the middle ones, which is probably like 120 yards away or whatever. Except for the one time we played the game Kyle was talking about, where you have to aim for specific ones. The only time I could hit the super far one, the target that's as far away as possible, was the time I was supposed to hit the closest target, so I lost a bunch of points. But no, it was really fun. I loved it. Someone's golfing, the rest of you, like the other people, are just sitting back enjoying either a drink or some food and relaxing. Can watch people golf. It's really fun. I really like
it's
that.
Great with a group of at least 3 or 4. You can have up to 6 in a bay, I think, is what they technically allow. I think I've seen them have more. It's just a matter of, talking to them nicely and not being jerks about your space. But and it's especially in the mornings, it's really affordable. I think you pay per hour for the full bay. So like 20, I think it gets more and more expensive the later in the day you go. It's like opening to noon is a certain rate, and then noon to 5 is a certain rate, and then 5 to close is another rate. So there's like 3 tiers of how expensive it is to golf there. But if you go in the morning, it's like $25 an hour, and so you split that between 4 or 5 people. That's a pretty cheap time for a lot of fun and a lot of ball smacking. So
if I may, the reason the pricing tiers are like they are is because of their setup. Top Golf is a driving range, a premium driving range, as well as a sports bar. They have a separate sports bar section with all the TVs you can imagine, but even in each individual bay that supports 6 people or more, if they were to allow it or whatever, in each bay they have like 3 TVs as well as the screen that shows the scores of the game that you choose to play. There are several types of bays. In the center, there's like a standing table that again has 6 seats. It's a little more cramped, but on the sides, they actually have, which is where we got just conveniently, like luxury couches that you just get to hang out on, and they have a standing table as well. And for whatever reason, just we got slotted on the side, which was very nice, and had the couch set up, which was really, really cool. But it's a sports bar and driving range combo. If you are good at golf, it's a lot of fun to compete with the little games you can play, and there's all kinds of options. If you're horrible at golf and just want to hit a ball, whether it's pretty or not, you can play Top Golf and just swing the club and see how far you go. Or if you're able to hit any targets, awesome. They have carts going around picking up all the balls, of course. So if you hit the cart, you can play little games amongst yourselves. That's not technically a Top Golf game by any means, but
if you hit a moving target,
we had a standing rule that if any of us hit the cart, it would be a shot. We never did. Although technically the cart was moving and my ball went into the front section of the cart that was moving. So it hit the moving apparatus, but it didn't hit the cart. It hit the part that was picking up the balls as my ball was still rolling. So I didn't count it. I didn't count it, but it could have.
So what I'm getting is that it's a mix between golf, obviously, skee ball, like you said, with the individual targets, and bowling, where everyone takes a turn and it keeps track of your score.
Yeah, but like I think there's 20 balls per game for most games anyway. And so like if you really wanted to, we could all do 3-3-3, 4. Like you could do all 20 and then have the next guy do all 20. You just kind of break it up however you feel like breaking it up.
Gotcha. Okay, so Nick, you said you went down in Minneapolis. You had a 5-hour wait, and then you went and watched you went to the movie theater.
Instead of waiting the 5 hours on premise, once you give them your information in place physically, so we called ahead and they wouldn't accept that I wanted to be in line. But if you physically go there and sign up, then you can leave after that. And then you just have to respond to a text.
Yeah, they give you 2 texts. They'll give you one text like saying your bay is almost ready. You have 5 minutes to get here. And then they send you one more text saying your bay. Oh, no, they said your bay is almost ready. So we started driving back to the place at that point, and then they'll give you one more text saying your bay is ready. You have 5 minutes to claim it.
Meet a person there waiting for you. Blah blah blah. 5 minutes to claim. Otherwise, they would call the next person. Well, it was a very good experience, I would say. And as far as a rating, I'm a huge fan of Top Golf. It's a little expensive. Golf is an expensive sport, and we went to the latest slot because it's a sports bar / driving range. So if I were marking it on like an app as far as a full review, marking how pricey it is and how good it is, 10 out of 10, 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely give it that. Food was fantastic. Environment was fantastic. You had music, you had sports on TV, and you're going out and hitting some golf balls. Very, very cool. Had a great time. And I would say it's expensive, but not horrible. Like
it's about what you'd expect. For the 3 of us, we each had a full meal. We had an extra like queso appetizer, and we got 2 or 3 drinks each, and we had 2 hours of playtime. So for all that, it was like $200. So it's pricey, but it's reasonable. Especially if you went earlier in the day, it would be even more reasonable.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Is that it's about $100 a day for Top Golf. Or $100 per hour for Top Golf.
If you do drinks and food and whatnot, yeah.
The only complaint I have is more personal of just how pitiful I'm at golf. I was holding the club way too hard, and I have a nice blister just right in the middle of my hand. But that's more of a me problem than Top Golf's problem.
That brings up an interesting question. Obviously you can bring your own clubs, but do they have rentals there that you can use?
They have them automatically set up at each bay. They have women's and men's right-handed. The same ones? Yeah, they have women's and men's right-handed clubs, just like they have like things made into the bays to hold them naturally. And then there's like 3 or 4 golf caddy storage areas where if you bring your own clubs, you can drop them in there. And because Brent was a lefty, they had a extra storage, like the caddy bag. of left-handed
sets.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Brought my own clubs though, for the record, because I do have a nice set that I like to practice with.
Gotcha. Well, I've got a. Are you guys ready to move on to another topic?
Sure, we'll do another.
So
what's our overall review for? We should be giving these stars or Z's or something.
Well, Nick rated it already.
Nick's a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Brent, what's your Top Golf rating? I guess me personally, I'd throw it in. Probably. Sorry, go ahead. I saw that you were muted, so I just started talking.
No. I got it. I'd say probably 4.5 out of 5, just because of the my blister. I don't know. And it was a little pricey, but other than that,
you took the company down because you got a blister.
It was a great time. They should have given me gloves. I don't know. They could have prevented it, or I could have prevented it. I don't know.
You got noodle hands. It's a great place. You got noodle hands. You're holding the club too hard.
I would definitely go back. Probably not every weekend, but I definitely would try it again. That was a lot of fun.
All right.
Go ahead, guys.
So today...
real quick, my rating, I'll give it 9 out of 10. It was 10 out of 10 during it, but right now I'm a little sore, so I'll jump it down.
That's the same thing I was doing. 4.5, 9, it's the same. All right, go ahead, Dylan.
All right, so today I actually saw something that was really interesting that caught my attention. That it's something that I wouldn't normally click on, but I was like intrigued. And it's a website called hushhush.com. So I would like all three of you guys to go check this out. And it's not porn. It sounds like it would be, but it's not. The way it was labeled, it was in my news feed, and it's called hushhush.com. And what it is Amazon. It's basically an Amazon.com for billionaires. So I'll just let you guys check that out real quick.
Interesting. Like the number, the very first listing is a $92,750 18-karat white gold necklace with aquamarine 39.1 carat. Oh my God! Jesus.
Yeah, it's an Amazon.com for billionaires. All right. So all the stuff, like, you can go there and buy like sports cars, yachts, helicopters. Obviously you kind of know that these sites exist, and that there's people out there that are so rich that they need stuff like this, where you can go. It's like a place where you can go and buy stuff. But like, I've never actually like seen one of these sites myself. Like, it's not something I would just go and check out. So like, this like caught my attention today. I was like, I want to see what billionaires are buying these days.
If I were a billionaire,
you need a $900,000 watch? Here you go, dude. Like,
I need this painting that's $58,625. It's a
they've got art really on there, like anything you can think of, it's on there, and it's all like super crazy expensive. But anyways, on there, another part that caught my attention, it was another news feed that was linked to hushhush.com. Basically, a billionaire posted an ad for a event coordinator. He's trying to hire an event coordinator to design and create a real life battle royale on his private island. And basically, he's willing to pay the event coordinator $60,000 to set up this event. And basically, people will be dropped on this island, and they'll have 3 days.
Do they get to parachute in?
I don't know, but they'll be on this island for 3 days, and they're playing with airsoft guns and full body armor suits that basically let the computers know that they've been hit. And then basically they battle for 3 days, and they battle for 12 hours a day. So during the day they battle, and then they camp out wherever they're at for the remaining night until the next day.
This is basically Hunger Games.
That's exactly what it is. And the winner gets $100,000. And I think it's euros, 100,000 euros. So it's like
120, 130, something like that.
Yeah, like a lot of money. So some billionaires made this event on this website that people can go. And right now he's just looking for the event coordinator. And then once he finds someone that can like make this happen, then he'll open it up for participants. And they've got like pictures of the island, and it's like down in the Caribbean somewhere. So it looks really interesting. But yeah, so that's kind of my review. I would like just something I saw today that I was just like, we need to talk about this because it's like so crazy. First off, the lifestyle that you even need a website to like buy whatever you want. And then second, this like event that some billionaires just decided like, you know what? I just really want to see people battle it out and see who can win. So I think that'll be really interesting. Are you guys just browsing the site right now?
I am 100% just browsing this. I'm trying to find the cheapest possible yacht I could buy.
Right? I was
now,
looking at my helicopters
all the low price yachts are all concepts. So it's like, this is still a concept. We'll let you know when we can, like, if you're interested in it, then we can sell it to you. It's like
it turns out the highest or the most expensive Rolex you can buy right now on this site is $91,000 for a watch.
That.
Did you know, guys, that if you buy a plane, you can get it, return it within 14 days of delivery?
Ooh, that's good.
I did not. So
you like
actually
I
did
a couple
know
times
that.
and then
Because celebrities were basically they're renting a plane to like show themselves in their personal plane on Instagram and all the celebrities.
And they're just getting rid of it.
And then they return it.
I think the planes have to be the most expensive thing because there's no price tag on it. Like
Really?
all the other stuff, even the yachts have like, oh yeah, you can buy this for $100 million, or like $100,000. That's a million. I don't know, whatever.
Well, this
but then
Boeing
the planes have
business jet
nothing.
is $67 million.
Oh, maybe I have to refresh. But no, this is impressive. I don't see myself needing, like, I found a diamond and ruby and emerald Rubik's Cube. I don't think anyone needs that.
Well, be careful because earlier today I had an Enzo Ferrari in my checkout bag, so
it almost got me. I almost hit go.
Yeah. I almost owed someone $91 million.
Could have been awesome.
That would be life. Like, can you imagine accidentally buying a yacht? I don't know what I would do.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I do make some money, but not that. Not that. I can't do that.
I really didn't mean to buy this yacht for $192 million. My bad.
Sir, your credit card is your limit.
Checked out. Yeah.
You're a little bit past your limit, sir.
If I may, I did see something interesting regarding like things you can't afford and like student debt, and that's something we talked about and people in our generation are certainly dealing with currently. The thing I saw though was there was a woman who was selling. What was the terminology? And I'm blanking on the terminology. It was selling stock selling stock in her future earnings. Student, she's got a good degree and she's got an okay job, but she has a ton of student loans. And what she was doing was saying, okay, if you give me $20,000 now, I will give you 2% of my income for 30 years.
Dude, that
or
like
whatever
a great
it is, but basically
deal.
Ignore those numbers because I made them up. But you get the concept where they will essentially pay your student loans and then you will be giving them a percent of your salary. So hopefully you find ideally someone who's driven and wants to have a great career, and you basically say, okay, yep, I will pay your student loans and you will give me a percent of your.
I get to see your W-2 every single year, and I get a certain percentage of that.
And you get X percent, and I think it works pretty well in concept because you're buying a stake in someone, and if someone wants to improve their lifestyle, which hopefully if they went to college, they got a degree, they want to do well, they want to have a good job. Then they would want to improve their life, and by improving their life with this agreement, they don't have to worry about student loans, and you are then cashing in on a percentage of their earnings. And it could be a lifetime thing. It could be a 30-year thing. I didn't read into the absolute, finite details of everything, but I thought it was a really interesting concept. I mean, it's not unlike having, dividends or stock in an organization. You assume that the organization is going to do everything it can to succeed, to help itself. And as part of owning them, you get a piece of that. So it was a really interesting concept.
Are we reviewing that system? What's our review on that system?
Sorry, it was less of a review item, more of a.
How do you review something that you don't know how it works or have never tried?
Concept. Well, I think it could be. It's almost kind of like. If it's overdone, you would almost be talking like slavery or indentured servitude.
You're signing yourself up for indentured servitude. That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, it actually is basically.
So
Yeah,
Not that you're working
as
on
far,
100%.
if I may, as far as this Hush Hush site, I give it a 10 out of 10 because it looks like I can borrow a Ferrari 488 Spider in blue for $245. I'm going to add that to my cart right now.
No, you can't.
It says
You're
it right
missing
here on
some
this
zeros.
website. It's on sale. It used to be $279,000. Oh, it's only $245 if I also buy this $19 million yacht.
So the car comes with the yacht.
Well, if I buy this yacht, I get a sale on this car.
I hope that the car is
I
on
see.
the yacht as you buy it. And you have to figure out a way to get it off. Like
At
you
that
buy
point,
the
you
part,
just fly
the
your
boat's
personal
floating
helicopter
there,
in, and
lift it off the helicopter.
yeah. That at that point, you have your own helicopter. You just basically pick it up. If you're able to afford one of those yachts, I'm sure you can afford your own helicopter.
I
give
feel
it-
like that is that bucket list material. Like I must get on one of those multi-million dollar yachts by the end of my life, and like be on it at sea with somebody that owns it, not just at like a boat show or something.
Okay, so you just want to be on the yacht. Your goal is just to be
I wanna
physically
know a
on
guy.
the yacht, not like own the yacht, but
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. I'm not. I'm never owning a $20 million yacht. That's just not a thing that's gonna happen.
Kyle, these are over 100 million.
The one that comes with the discounted car is 19 million.
Oh,
Though.
gotcha.
I really just want the discount on the car, but
I love that like there's properties on here too. Like you can buy a property in Beverly Hills for 72 million. Like, yeah, I've been really in the market for a property, and I just want to spend
I was
72
just
million.
looking- I had $2 million to blow. What can I get for under that?
I feel like if I was that rich, I would not go on that website. I would end up going to somebody whose job is to literally find me
The
these
thing
great
exactly
items
I
at a
want.
good deal. Like I would pay someone to do it for me, not go to Hush Hush for myself.
And that person starts with Hush Hush.
Yeah, that person would turn around, go to Hush Hush, and be like, "We got a great deal."
Right. Hey, that's
Well-
all right. I had the money for it. I had
All right.
the money for it.
Next
3
review.
out of 5.
Nick's house. Brent and I got to visit
Ooh.
Nick's house this weekend, and so I'm gonna review it. Number one, the address is
Yeah, go ahead. Let's get that listed out for everybody.
Do you even remember what the address is, Kyle? That's
no,
the better question.
no, but I'm sure my Google Maps remembers. Anyhow,
I could not find it on a map. honestly.
Nick's house is split into like 2 levels. There's the 2-car garage, which definitely has enough space in the back for some sort of future workshop kind of thing. It'll be a long and narrow thing, but it would definitely be able to be used as a workshop. And then his house is itself, the garage kind of goes into mudroom and then splits into 2 levels. The top level is like primary living room, kitchen, dining room to the right, and then a couple bedrooms and then 2 bathrooms to the left. And then downstairs to the right is another huge living room with a fireplace as well as a bar. And then to the left is like a big room, which Nick just currently uses for gaming. And then there's like the water heater room and a little bit of storage area spaces downstairs. But personally, as far as, it sounded like Nick got a pretty good deal on it as well. So especially for price to what you got, I would say it's at least a 9 out of 10 for the price for what you got. It's definitely under the category of fixer-upper, but in a good way, where not too much is done with it, that you wouldn't feel bad tearing into something to rearrange it to how you want. But it's also laid out in a way where you can easily change things if you want, if that makes any sense at all. I would say the one out of the other main thing bringing your house down is currently your backyard. I think Nick said that it used to be a renter's apartment or something, and the backyard's big and all and nice and has a lot of potential, but it's currently just kind of a mud pit and sound like there's some water issues in the backyard. So, but obviously that's all fixable stuff with the right people / some dirt and manpower. But all in all, I enjoyed staying at your house. I thought it was a good house, and I think it has a lot of potential to be an even better house.
It's a good boy. No, I would have to agree with a lot of what Kyle said. I'm going to go just off of what I've experienced. I'm going to give it a 4.95 out of 5. In that, the one complaint I would have of everything that happened was I would wake myself up when I was sleeping. So I was on the bed upstairs, and it had this big headboard. And a couple of times I woke myself up because when I'd roll over when I was sleeping, the headboard would like knock against the back, and it sounded like someone was knocking on the door, and it woke me up a few times. But that's really not a big deal.
It's not really the house either.
I thought it was kind of funny. I was just like, roll over it, and I'd be like, knock, knock, knock. Like, what?
Hello?
Is someone trying to wake me up? Like, Nick, are you there? And then it turned out it was just the headboard. But that's really, I mean, the house itself is beautiful. Has really nice neighborhood.
Good neighborhood, yeah.
But people might be speeding through your street a little bit too much for my liking. Going 30 into 25, you know, but it's me. A huge backyard, really nice garage. That crawl space that you have underneath the stairs is super fun. And the bar has these beautiful lights on it that change colors with a push
10 out of 10
button,
for those lights for sure. And that TV.
which is super cool. Plus the host was pretty cool dude too, so
Yeah, he was okay.
I appreciate the reviews, gentlemen. The backstory on those lights is I had Kyle and Brent help me install the lights while we hung out, as well as mount a TV on the fireplace this last weekend. So bit of a work and play weekend. Gave us enough activities to handle ourselves so we didn't make any poor decisions, which we didn't. So that's good.
well, you know what they say, work hard, play hard. It's our motto.
Apparently that's our motto now.
Work hard, play hard, pay good, live good, die good. And that's die good. That's all you need.
Don't you want to die hard though? Meh?
Vengeance?
All right, Dylan, have you seen the movie Shazam?
I have not. Can you tell me what it is about?
It's a superhero movie. So while we were waiting for Top Golf, we went to this movie. It's a superhero movie based off of these.
It's the one with the
DC
kid.
Yeah, and he's able to turn himself into an adult superhero.
Yeah, by
And-
saying
and
Shazam.
I
I went
have
into
seen
it thinking
commercials
like, I went in thinking DC. Oh gosh, like it's probably gonna look really promising because all the best parts are in the trailer, and I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't. There was actually some good parts outside of the trailer. It was
I thought you were gonna
actually
say it was
really
terrible.
entertaining. No, it was a really entertaining movie. If you don't think too hard about the plot, you can really enjoy it.
I don't
There's a
think
couple.
the plot, the movie is definitely an action comedy. It is not. Don't go to the movie for the plot. The plot I don't think is terrible. There's much worse movies or even superhero movies with plots. Green Lantern, but the movie itself, I was surprised with it. Like, you know, it's a DC movie, so your standards are, you know, a little lowered than normal. But if you put Wonder Woman as the best DC movie, this one would be right below it. Besides that, ignoring the Dark Knight trilogy, that thing is that's not DC. That's something else happened with that.
Something lucky happened.
Yes.
That one. There is a few things that I had to question that I thought were kind of goofy, but I don't want to say them because I feel like that's spoilers. And we tried doing a quick review of it just after the movie ourselves, and I spoiled a big point, I guess. So I'm not very good at that kind of stuff.
I think that
Well, from what I saw in the commercials, my first impression was great, another Green Lantern movie. So I wasn't planning on going and seeing it, just because it looked like it was one of those kind of ridiculous action hero movies.
It's better than Green Lantern. I stopped watching.
Yeah,
Green
I was saying, if I
Lantern
may, I don't know if
halfway
it's
through.
quite theater worthy, but if it's either cheap seat theater or DVD, it's definitely worth the DVD pickup.
Absolutely.
If I may, yeah, I'd take the same approach of, okay, this wasn't something I was excited to see. This wasn't something that I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to make sure I see Shazam in theaters. It was purely, hey, we're going to be in this side of town for apparently 5 or 6 hours based on Top Golf's waiting
Might
list.
as well kill 3 of those.
Do here, boys. And it was, oh, well, movies, great. That's a good idea. That'll burn time. And what's playing right now? Nothing. Already seen it, and Shazam. Hammer shot. And it was okay. I mean, it was good. I'm a bit of a movie buff in a lot of ways, and I went in with expectations, and those expectations were met in most ways, and maybe even exceeded. In some others. It was a bit of a comedy twist. Nothing special. Kids would love it. If you have kids that are not quite teenagers yet, but old enough to appreciate
Middle
a
school,
superhero.
older elementary school, middle school.
I will say there were a couple of terrifying moments, but
there was nothing terrifying in the whole movie.
That boardroom scene was kind of scary. But I'm also very wimpy, so
I think the opening was almost the quote unquote scariest part because you weren't like it. The opening of the movie is definitely a different tone than the rest of the movie. The opening of the movie is very serious and a little darker, and then the rest of the movie. As far as the comedy goes, I thought the comedy was good. I know a lot of like TV or movies or TV shows that our comedies force a lot of jokes that just aren't funny. I don't think this one really did that. I think everything that they said comedy wise at least got a little bit of a chuckle. It's some of it's more funny than others, but none of it was like, why did they even put that in there? Like, that was stupid. So out of 10, I would give Shazam 7.5, somewhere in that range, especially considering my expectations going into it.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 because I haven't been to a movie theater. I haven't been
8 out of 10, dude.
8 out of 10. I could do the double math, but I like being different. No, I liked the movie theater experience. I haven't been to a movie theater in a long time. The movie entertained me.
The theater we went to was janky or like
haunted. Oh, it was super creepy. It was pretty creepy. Like I
will also say
got separated from the group, so I might have been alone
in a movie theater.
Very scary. Movie theater that was pretty dark and very long hallways. And it was okay. That part was, but I did enjoy just watching a movie on the big screen. There weren't many people in the theater, so it wasn't like they were talking too much. And the movie kind of entertained all the way through, which for 2 hours is hard to do. So that got me a 4 out of 5.
Nick, what'd you think?
Oh, I gave it a 6 out of 10. It was above 500. If my expectations are 5, I will say it slightly exceeded my expectations. No, it was not a great movie. Arguably, it may not have even been a good movie. But with the
it was definitely a good movie. I put it in good movie category. Definitely not great.
I'm just above 500 is my thought.
If somebody asks, should I watch it? I'd say, yeah, go ahead and watch it.
Oh.
It's watchable. I don't think you should watch it.
So it's one of those movies that you should just wait for it to come out on Netflix? Like, you can watch it, but don't pay for it?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
If you watch the trailer and like the trailer, you'll like the movie. I think that's a fair statement.
Agree with that.
Okay.
So
if that's your thing, if you enjoy that, yes.
Did you guys read about this fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris?
Yeah, I saw that at lunch today.
I'm reading it right now, and it's I didn't realize how much of the roof burned. Apparently they were able to get most of the artwork out of the cathedral before it got destroyed, including the Jesus Christ crown. Apparently they have the crown he wore in the cathedral. Apparently they're able to get that out too. That's kind of interesting.
It sounds like a lot of some of the other easily damageable stuff was already out of the church because they were in the process of doing renovations. So that's also good. Like they definitely did what they could to save the stuff inside of the church, which is, I mean, good for them. I don't know if they had a plan going into that or if somebody just made the call and they just did it really quick and saved what they could. But I would say it sounds like whoever's in charge of the church did a great job of saving what they knew they for sure could save.
So this is, if I may, this is going to be a bit of a tangent. I apologize in advance, but when I look at something like that, thanks. When I look at something like that, that's like a historical point of reference. It's not such a tragedy to me. Like there are people who are going to get worked up. Like this is the end of the world, and I cannot believe this would happen. And there is no God because this fire happened or whatever. I don't know. People are overreacting a lot. But my thought is, and I know I'm different and different people have different approaches. I'm not sentimental. Like I can appreciate things, but I don't hold on to the Kleenex that the first girlfriend I ever had dropped in 4th grade that I picked up because I loved her. Like there's so many sentimental things. And when I look at that, and just what kind of triggered my train of thought here was, okay, they saved the crown of that Christ allegedly wore. Number one, and I don't know the history, so maybe I'm forgetting something here, but did Jesus ever wear a crown? Like, I feel like that wasn't his thing, unless it was the crown of thorns. I'm familiar
that's
with
exactly
that.
what Dylan's talking about.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Aren't thorns a thorn bush, truly? If it had existed that long ago, wouldn't it have deteriorated?
Probably.
So what is this crown actually made of?
Maybe it was coated in wax and preserved. I don't know.
Right,
I haven't been there. We'll move past, Nick, let's move past the religion thing. We don't have time for that. We have Game of Thrones to get to.
Just the sentimental aspect. What does that bring society? What is the sentimental value of a crown that George Washington wore or Jesus Christ wore? What good does that bring to society? I understand history is there and we need to learn from it, and that's all great. But what good does that actually do? Is it actually a loss to anybody for a crown like that to have been lost in the fire?
Have you ever decided to go to a museum and paid to go to a museum?
I certainly have not. I've been to museums, but it was never my decision.
Okay. Then I guess, to be fair, and no offense, but I don't think you understand then.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Kyle on this one.
Obviously, if this stuff doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to you. I guess I'm under a similar thing as far as, yes, I understand it's not necessarily a travesty per se. Like, nobody, as far as I know anyway, nobody died, nobody got injured or hurt or anything. Like, it's just stuff. But the stuff that, like, it's an icon of the city. It's stuff that has history with the city. It's like the United States Declaration of Independence. Like, would you want that to burn up? Like, probably not.
I wouldn't be offended if it did. It served its purpose. I just, those kinds of relics, for lack of a better term, that are deemed holy or deemed important to the government or whatever. Like, okay, they're nice, but I just don't see the value. Okay,
wait. If I may, though, would the value not necessarily be that value of the item to you itself, but maybe the value that other people have value with this item? So won't that they value it be of value in itself?
And you're Brent.
No.
That's a terrible reasoning to try to put at Nick if he's already not caring at all about relics.
I think the thing to get with Notre Dame and the thing that gets it too is, I personally haven't been there. I don't know if any of you have had the chance. Has anyone seen?
No, I haven't been there.
I think the big loss is not ever being able to see it in its original beauty unless they can fix it.
Well, it's never going to be original.
No, that's true. It's been around for 1,000.
And that's the other thing too. Like, fires have happened. Technically, the White House has been burnt down twice. Like, this stuff happens throughout history, and they do rebuild it, and now it's the new history, and what happened to it is history. But it sucks that the history that was there is now gone for the people that do care about it and do want to see it. Like, I think the first ever movie I remember seeing in movie theaters was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, I don't know, like, Hunchback of Notre Dame is not one of the top 5 or top 10 Disney movies, but it's still,
you should review The Hunchback of Notre Dame right now.
7 out of 10.
I don't remember.
I haven't seen it, and I watched it too long ago for me to even give a review on it.
So today, it's terrible, but I was, in my mind anyway, I would never actually do it, considering doing a post online when the bad guy is singing like the Hellfire Desire, like he's in front of a fireplace and it's all burning, and then have that, and then like
that's so bad.
The church below it burning, be like too soon? Question mark.
Soon.
Oh my gosh.
Is Frodo okay?
Like that's too much.
That would be so good.
Yeah, I think if we were
it's one of those things that would go viral, but I would not be the person to put that on the internet as a thing for people to like.
Send me a link. I will.
if I
And, Nick, I see your point in what like how you view how you old relics like you were talking about. But I think for me, like I think the building, I appreciate more like the building and the architecture, and it's sad to me to think that something that old and that someone like people have hand built and it's just something to really appreciate has just burned down, probably due to some electrical fire because they're doing maintenance on it.
Yeah, the thing was 2,000 some years old, and it took 300 years to construct when it was originally made. It's just like
think about that, 300 years.
There's a lot of effort.
I wanted it to burn down here. I'm just
yeah,
saying,
I know.
Like,
you're saying you don't
the
care.
idea that people are crying and sobbing and the world will never be the same. I'm sorry, this isn't the Twin Towers at 9/11. Like, it's okay. Nobody died so far that we know. Yes, it's a tragedy that it's a landmark that was lost, but at the same time, they're going to rebuild it. It sucks. How did it start? Avoid it in the future. I'm just too practical for this.
I don't think I've seen anyone comparing it to 9/11.
Well, no. But again, comparing different events, like people are actually like I've seen posts, saying this is a tragedy and this is world news. It needs to be watched. It's like, okay, there's just not a whole lot going on in the world that's grabbing people's attention. So,
so speaking of grabbing attention, there was something that grabbed my attention this week. And also speaking of old relics. It's perfect. An old relic that grabbed my attention. Tiger Woods at the Masters, pulling out the victory 14 years after his major win.
Brent's transitions. 10 out of 10.
I saw that coming, Brent.
Oh my gosh. It fit perfectly. Not quite. But I will say watching Tiger storm back to win was compelling. I just kept saying the word compelling to probably everyone's annoyance who was around me of, wow, why does this guy keep saying compelling? Because I was like, this is really compelling TV. It just so you couldn't take your eyes off anytime Tiger swung the clubs. Anytime he went for a putt, when the guy he was playing against, who I've already forgotten his name because he's no longer relevant, hit it in the water a couple times to give Tiger the lead. It just was compelling. I had to watch it, and I'm happy for the guy. Everyone loves a good redemption story. I don't know if he's fully redeemed yet in my mind, at least not as much as people say. But the fact that it could get someone in their 26 who really has no interest in golf to actually sit and watch it for over an hour is hats off, man. Hats off.
Brent, the man's a legend. All right.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't get to watch the end.
He had his own hat on.
I didn't get to watch the end, which is disappointing. I watched it when I was watching. It was like he was probably like 13th or 14th place. Like he was behind, and then for me to like find out the next day that he won, and I was just like, what? He came back that much to win it? Like I was like, there's no way. I was like kind of disappointed. I think Tiger Woods has redeemed himself. Like everyone makes mistakes, and his was very costly. He paid a lot.
Plus, he also had like back surgery and stuff. He had like 2 or 3 vertebrae fused together. And for a professional golfer, that is a huge deal alone. Much less the
come back and win 2 years in a row. Like
social stuff he went through, and family stuff and all that.
So hold on here. If I may, gentlemen, little perspective here, because this is something that ESPN and other generic news people who...
We had 7 minutes to cover Game of Thrones if we didn't want to keep it under an hour. But continue.
Okay, you'll get the really, really, really summarized version. People are asking whether or not he's redeemed. I think that's a stupid question, simply because if he had been drunken driving and been in an accident and hurt his back, had the issues, and he was able to crawl back and suffer and then come through and win another Masters, okay, that would be a redemption. He crawled back, he suffered, it was his own thing, he only hurt himself, and he overcame all of that to make a redemption of himself. He would be redeemed if that were the case. That's not what happened. Shamed or shunned by the limelight was because he cheated on his wife a lot. with a lot of Denny's waitresses is the overarching statement from what I understand. And I don't need the full details and I don't know the full details, but to say that him winning the Masters and putting it all together is redeeming of his cheating on his wife and everything that went on there, I think is just a silly statement. Either you like the guy or you don't. And a lot of women don't because of the cheating. So a lot of guys
if I may,
just focus on the golf.
I guess number one, I never said that he's redeemed himself. I think it's cool that he was able to win another one. It's definitely, if I had to pick my favorite golfer, it would have to be him, only because I literally know no other golfer names. Like, somebody will say, like, oh, what about Phil so-and-so? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, I've heard of that one. But I could not, off the top of my head, name another golfer.
The shade on
John
Phil
Daly.
Mickelson right there.
John Daly is the only other one I can name because of the Pat McAfee
Arnold
show.
Palmer.
Only
Well,
reason.
I wasn't really saying that he redeemed himself because he won.
Nope, I heard
was
it.
more saying, all right, well,
I mentioned the redemption story.
But
I mentioned it.
Well, right, both of you did, and I'm not holding it against you personally. That's the media and what they're saying, and it's because Tiger is good for golf, and it's all about the money. And golf, like Brent said, someone who's not interested in golf, knows nothing of golf, knows Tiger Woods, and we found ourselves watching it because it was the premier sporting event going on at that time. We're not huge fans, and it was fun to watch, and that doesn't happen unless Tiger's winning. It's a phenomenon, but you guys fell in the trap of that the media has set that, oh yeah, by the way, he's crawled back against the odds, despite the physical stuff, to say that he is redeemed. And I just wanted to make that point that
I actually said I don't think he quite redeemed himself. I didn't believe he quite redeemed, but
implying
on the
that
golf
playing
course,
you are
on the
implying
golf
that
course, he
playing golf.
redeemed.
You're clarifying, but you were implying that somehow playing golf and winning would quote unquote redeem him. If you're talking redemption, playing golf should not be in the equation. That's my pedestal statement, and I'm walking off on that until Game of Thrones.
All right. That's not really how I meant that to come off. What I was saying was that he, first off, he obviously had to pay a fortune. And not saying that makes up for his mistakes, but I'm the type of person that gives multiple chances, and obviously he dealt with a lot of personal issues, especially with his wife and these people. Like, I think everyone deserves a second chance, and I don't know how many chances you got because I don't know the whole story, but I don't know. I'm proud of him because he went through all of that and still was able to come out on top, even though I had no faith in him in this last one.
And I honestly enjoyed seeing when Tiger was in his heyday. I remember growing up watching him and just the way he could sway a crowd, the way that golf was cool. There's this guy who's young, winning everything, and people get rowdy. There's a story that I always hear. My mom
let's not go into stories.
It's a really quick story. It's really quick. It just shows the sway of Tiger.
4 minutes doing quick stories.
It's fine. We can go an extra few minutes.
I want to hear your story.
So Tiger Woods in his heyday was playing some tournament, hits it behind a rock. If the rules say if you can move the impediment, like you can move the rock, you can move it. Otherwise, you take a stroke to move your ball all the way. Well, Tiger had so much sway that he got people, like the whole crowd of people to lift, like a bunch of people to go lift the rock, this giant boulder,
move
and
his
move
rock
it off
for
the
him.
course so he could continue going. And I think we saw that Tiger a little bit this weekend, and that's what I gotta say. And I thought that was really cool.
Game of Thrones.
It's time. Oh, I got it. It's queued. It's ready. Okay. Where do we... Number one, spoilers are about to begin. There's about to be spoilers if you have not caught up with Season 8, Episode 1. It's time for you to leave. You missed the outro, but that's okay. You are also then able to miss Game of Thrones talk if you've not seen it already. This is your warning. We're starting Game of Thrones now. Nick, I know out of all of us, you are likely the most Game of Thrones person. Kick us off.
Subject matter expert.
Yeah, okay. Is the music cut? It was kind of cutting it out, and as far as what I could hear, I'm assuming it all worked.
Yes, I cut the music. It worked.
Yes, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1 dropped on Sunday night at approximately 8 American time, Central. The episode was just over an hour long, barely, and was a beginning to the season. It had a lot of ups and downs, and I've been actually listening to reviews all day of the episode, and a lot of my initial thoughts were touched on by the various reviews. I'll try and give you a very quick summary. The writing has marginally improved from last season, but the technique they used was they gave a lot of silence. Instead of having characters open up their mouth and say something stupid because it wasn't written by George R.R. Martin, there were a lot of silent moments and silent communications and kind of quick points. They started the season with Tyrion Lannister making a ball joke, which he's that character is better than that, and that character is being made to look a fool in this season, less so than last season.
What you gonna do? Act a fool. Sorry, had to.
You're good. You're using Peter Dinklage because he is a huge character, and last season they crapped the bed as far as not using him, and they're touching with him a little bit more, and that's good. They're creating all kinds of drama before the White Walkers are coming south. The new entry was a big deal. A lot of white noise, a lot of different things occurring, and a lot of what I will call silly budget decisions. They had a great scene where the dragons were involved, and we can have some spoilers, but I'm going to try and limit it. Just we know we're going to screw up and say something.
How about for Game of Thrones talk? We know there's going to be spoilers. Why don't we just go? We can do whatever spoiler we want. That's why we preface the segment so much. We just have to make sure we preface it. There will be spoilers, and we're good. You can go into whatever details you like.
One of the biggest events in the books.
That makes it more fun for us anyway. Sorry.
Biggest events in the books, and one of the biggest events that could have or should have been in the episode was Jon riding a dragon. And this should have been, something epic, something amazing. In the books and in the lore of Game of Thrones and that whole world, I'm making a stupid percentage to make my point. Like 95% of people are not capable of riding a dragon because the dragon will just eat them. And because the Targaryens share blood with the dragons, because the Targaryens share blood with the dragons, they can communicate with them enough to form a bond. And sometimes it works. A lot of the time it doesn't throughout the history of Westeros, if you've read any of that. And to have it taken from this huge thing where Jon would be riding the dragon named after his father to, oh yeah, babe, go ahead, hop on. Let's go on a date.
Yeah, if I may real quick, I fully agree that the dragon scene, the build up to it was perfect. They had Jon see the dragons last season, and then the first little bit of this episode, I think even maybe at the end of last season, he interacted a little bit with the dragons, like being able to reach out and touch them without the dragon freaking out and killing him. So the buildup was perfect. But yeah, the reason of the riding was literally to go on a date and to make love behind a waterfall. And it was weak. It should have been to go to battle. There should have been a better reason for him to have to learn to ride that dragon at whenever he had to do it.
Yeah, some kind of sense of urgency, anything would have been huge. Go ahead, sorry.
If I may, the whole scene with him actually riding the dragon, I felt was epic. I thought it was a super cool, and he obviously struggled riding it. It was his first time. But the whole scene with him learning to ride the dragon, I thought was really cool.
I agree. And I just think the reason he had to ride the dragon, or did ride the dragon, was silly.
Did any of you guys kind of cringe during this episode? Or you kind of knew, obviously we know that there's some family relationship between Jon and Daenerys. Did any of you guys kind of have that cringe moment where that they're blood related, but they obviously don't know, and they're doing all these things as a couple, but that they're actually related?
I guess I personally don't cringe at that because number one, they look so different. They don't look brother sister, and number one, I think because they don't know and they have literally grown worlds apart, they didn't. I don't know. I don't think it's as big of a deal as some people on the internet. And Juliana even was like, but aren't they related? I'm like, yes, like Daenerys is technically Jon's aunt. But like,
if I may, that as part of the story. If you know the history of Westeros, the Targaryens have interbred consistently throughout their line. That's why a lot of them turned out to be crazy. But that's just the world that George R.R. Martin has created, where these characters, it's what they do. And even though this one's unintentional, even though it's unintentional on their part, like I don't waste time comparing reality
to what's going on. Yeah.
Right, because I could sit here and take apart any fictional story and be like, can you believe an elf would ever kiss a dwarf from whatever movie was?
Absolutely true. They would never do
Lord of the Rings.
It's like, okay, you can sit here and get upset about some aspect of a story, but guys, it's just a story. Like if you want to cringe, you can, and sure that there may be drama that people are reading into, but I mean, if that's your focus, there's so much more to get wrapped up in.
To be fair to the writers,
you're wasting time.
If I may, to be fair to the writers and George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones, I think, is in general one of its greatest aspects is whether, like, to kind of test your moral compass, like who is good, who is bad. There's a point, like even right now, Jaime, he showed his good side, but before, like midway through season 7, is he good or a bad guy? I don't actually know. Like, I used to hate his guts. Now I kind of like him, but I don't know if I should. So, like, there's a lot of moral compass testing throughout Game of Thrones, and I think that this aspect is just one part of that, where some people it's going to test them more than other people.
Did you guys have a specific scene in this episode that you thought was like amazing, like really well done? Sorry, I wrote down like a whole bunch of notes on this and
this is awesome.
Questions that I want to ask.
Perfect. You're keeping it going. Brent, you go for this one.
Oh, scene I thought was well done.
Or just pops.
Obviously, where you have Arya, that beginning opening scene where Arya is kind of mirroring the whole beginning of the show, where they all came in and they followed the little Umber boy through the trees like Bran used to be, and he's climbing. I was like, that was a nice little throwback. I thought that was well done. The reunion between Arya and Jon, I thought was well done. It showed a lot of character growth from both of them, but at the base, you could still see two characters that really liked each other from the get-go, and that's still there.
But don't know each other anymore.
Yeah,
but they don't know each other, which is cool.
There was a lot of reunions. I think two of, like, to kind of go off of like favorite scenes, I think this episode was a lot of reunions. Like, it was, one of the main repeating themes of the episode, which was the kind of the same for season 1. Like, the very first episode was a lot of reunions. Like, people haven't seen each other in a while, and we're about to go do some shit. So, like, I like that. I think the Sansa Tyrion one, like them talking on the balcony there, that was super interesting. Like, that was one of my, I would say, top ones.
Yeah, that was
or two.
That was
like
the Hound.
I always thought you were the smartest person in the world.
The Hound had a lot of reunions in this episode too.
The Arya one was really the only one that mattered, though, I thought.
Yeah. Well, the Brent, did you watch the after credits where they basically talked about all the different scenes, and they went through this episode and kind of explained everything?
I didn't. I didn't get
Okay,
a chance
well,
to...
the first thing they talk about is actually that scene that you're talking about with Arya, and basically they actually purposely recreated it from the very first season. And in this one, it was different by Arya seeing this little boy wanting to see the soldiers, and then Arya stood aside so the boy could see.
Because she wanted to get through, and she couldn't when she was a kid. In season
when
1.
she was a little, yep.
Yeah,
So
it seemed really well thought out. I guess another scene that stood out was they had this really beautiful scene. They had like Jon and Daenerys riding on this dragon through these mountains. I thought that was super beautiful. No, I'm just giving you guys a hard time about that one.
Do you have a specific scene that you liked?
Yeah, the one where we get to see Ghost.
There's no Ghost in episode 1.
Oh no,
Yeah.
but that's the point.
So
Ghost
that's
is a
my-
ghost. You can't.
That's
see
my
him.
troll moment where I sit here and say, okay, the dragon flying scene was cool, but it didn't progress the plot at all. And I still haven't seen Ghost. And as a Ghost loyalist, I'm sitting here like, okay, you have all this budget and all this
Nick,
money.
if
and,
I may,
and you,
real quick, Nick literally has a dog named Ghost because of Ghost.
True.
So
I
you wasted all this money and all this budget for a scene of John riding a dragon that was beautiful and well done, yes. However, it didn't advance the plot, and it actually took away from what could have been an epic moment, as we already touched on. So
Well,
I thought
if I
that
may,
John,
that whole thing was just because we're in this beautiful location filming. Let's get pretty scenery picture because we can do it.
Somebody flew a
Like that was,
drone.
they just threw it in there. I feel like it was just thrown in. It didn't seem, yeah. So, go ahead.
It was stupid. And yeah, the John Arya scene was done nicely. They did some more time warping, unfortunately, because they started out with the Ned Umber kid in Winterfell, and then they sent him to the Last Hearth, and then they had Tormund and the other guys going through the last Hearth and finding the kid was killed by the White Walkers, and kind of a cool fiery scene they do. And I thought that was a cool scene. I thought the Scooby-Doo-esqueness of wandering through the castle and being like,
that was
"Oh,
good.
he's got
Yeah, that
blue
was
eyes."
hilarious.
Like it was
I've always
funny.
had blue eyes.
It was funny, but at the same time, Ed and Tormund, who have built a relationship necessarily in this story so far. So, I mean, it was a funny comic relief kind of thing, and then they did a really good job where the boy's eyes open up in the background, like it's blurry in the background.
If I may, real quick on that one, it was obvious that was going to happen, and those guys knew you have to burn the body. Just the only body
obvious.
there. It was. I saw it like the moment they
You
walked
know
in there
White Walkers.
and saw that
If you
boy.
That
know
was
White
my
Walkers, it
second
was
favorite
obvious.
scene. That was my second favorite scene.
It was so
That
obvious.
scene,
so,
like,
no. These
it
guys
was
have
like,
been
all right.
fighting these things. Their entire lives. A lot of the people for the black on the watch. They know that any dead body can turn into a White Walker. It was stupid for them to not instantly kill that thing.
Kyle, that was like that scene. I totally did not. First off, I was focusing on all the legs and stuff around him, and I didn't even catch it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh, his eyes are open! His eyes are open!" Like I was not prepared, and it literally got me. I was not, and then obviously it got them all. Like I thought that was an amazing scene. My most favorite scene from that episode was where Daenerys told Sam that his parents were killed, or that his dad was
That
killed.
was a
and her
good
brother.
scene. That was a good scene.
Because Sam's acting in that scene was so good. I was
Said that a
like,
lot.
"What's that?"
A very good scene, and yeah, the actor did an amazing job.
That was my most favorite scene in that episode because it was so good.
Yeah, because you have the mixed emotion where his dad and him don't get along. He's his dad's a lot of the reason he's like in the situation he is in, and why he's been kind of beaten down his whole life. So like when the dad dies, there's the sadness, but there's the I think I'm okay with that. Like
I don't know. There's so many emotions.
But the brother, when you hear about the brother,
brother.
it just crushed him.
That was the killer, because even back when they were having the scenes in the family house or whatever, like the brother and him got along. The brother loved him.
Yep. That scene was so good and so well done that's definitely my number one scene in that episode was Sam.
All right, I have
And
one. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna move on to you. Go.
I have one quip about the episode. One major quip. How are they going to feed the army? Like they asked the question,
You're
and
right.
then just like
They
cut
didn't
away.
answer that at all.
They didn't answer at all. I'm like, what's the point of saying that if you're not going to like explore? Like if that's not.
I
part
really
of
hope
it,
they
just-
revisit that, because when they said that, I'm like, thank you. There's a movie or film that actually thinks about these smaller things that
They're not going to
are
answer
never
it, though.
shown.
And
They're
then they
not
just
going to
know.
answer it though. It,
It's
I think
a- I think
it grounded the scene, I thought, a lot as far as providing real life context and real life problems. However, I think it's just going to be glazed over after they grounded you with it, just to say that okay, yep, feeding people is going to be tough, but if we all die to the Night King without the army, There's really no point. There's not going to be anyone to feed anyway. So
Well, I hope people start deserting maybe in future episodes or something because there's not enough food or something to give it a little bit more consequence beyond just something
The entire
random.
world
Santa
ending?
said to sound smart. Yeah.
the writers, when George R. R. Martin wasn't providing the material, the writers don't have consequence. There's too many red shirts thrown into it, which is a Star Trek terminology. Too many red shirts thrown into it, and too many people have plot protection.
The yellow was much more likely to die on a mission.
Yeah, you said that before, and I still think it's
I said
stupid.
that. I said that not on the podcast though. I don't think.
No, yeah.
No.
So you get to sound snarky on the podcast. So
Yep,
support
I can
it.
sound
But
snarky. Yeah, I watched the
But,
YouTube video and they went into it, and you're actually more likely to
main-
get a yellow shirt.
The main characters have too much plot protection, and they throw in these vague characters like last season when they went north of the wall to get the White Walker to bring it back to the Queens to review. They just brought in some anonymous wildlings that happened to volunteer for a suicide mission essentially. And of course, wouldn't you know it, every one of them happened to die, but all the other main characters had too much plot protection.
Yeah, the one
Whereas
wizard dude or
historically-
whatever dies, and that's the only named character that dies. And it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I know of him. He was in the plot more than everything else, but I don't really care.
Where historically, if a mistake was made by a character, there were dire consequences. Like, you don't have a loss like Robb Stark just happen. Like, it has to be thought out. Like, there should have been, like, when's the last time there was a new character added?
I think
Built
they
up
just
only to
did
take
it
it
this
away.
year. I think this first episode, I think they did add like the captain of the Gold Army. I think he's going to come
Yeah.
and play later.
That's
he's
true.
the only one I can think
Did you
of.
catch
that's
his
added.
name?
I did not.
No.
But you're not going to get an Oberyn Martell where he has this whole story, this whole backline. You sympathize with him having lost everything and how he's here to get revenge, and these great monologues and speeches from this character, only to have it ripped from your soul at the last second. Like, none of that happens. Like,
Well,
these
they
writers
did-
are garbage.
They did say his name, and I think he will play a bigger role in a few episodes. That captain of the Gold Army, I think he'll play a big role.
All right. So I want to end this because I know we have to wrap up with a question. I saw the preview for next week, and they showed that Arya was going to shoot somebody with an arrow or something like that. I didn't really watch too closely. Who do you think is the person that's going to die next
Did
episode?
you say Arya?
Was it Arya or Arya?
Oh, wait. Yeah. I'm
They
just
were
trying
gonna.
to-
Someone's getting
Needle.
shot, or someone's getting killed next episode. Who's it gonna be?
I'm
Someone
not
at
sure.
Winterfell.
I know. What's the name of the? Is it Bran? Sir Bran of the Goldwater or whatever? I can't think
Oh,
of his name.
Bronn. Yeah, Bronn.
But he was tasked out with killing the brothers.
Yep.
I thought maybe that's where you were going with it, but I'm not. Now that I think about it, Arya didn't she just get a bow or some weapon made?
Yeah,
She's
she
having
had.
some special weapon made.
Yeah, she had Gendry make her whatever was on that paper, which it kind of looked like
I
something
didn't
that could
really
separate
catch
into
it.
two parts. But I did. Yeah, again, I didn't really know exactly what it was. So
Maybe
yeah.
it's some projectile, something. I don't
And it
know.
looked like it had dragonglass on it. Do we know in the preview for next episode if they showed that the tip of her arrow was the dragonglass or not?
Well, when Gendry was making all these.
I know he was
dragonglass,
making them, but
he
I'm
was
wondering if
pumping
her
out
arrow.
arrows.
I'm wondering if her arrow was dragonglass or a standard arrow. Because if it's
I'm not-
dragonglass, maybe somebody she knows gets turned and she has to kill them.
Oh, maybe.
That's a good point. We
All
start
right,
to see
so-
White Walkers again.
I have one last note on here, and it was, how do you guys think the North will take to Jaime Lannister's trading side?
That was actually one of the scenes I was going to mention as one of my favorites because of the fact that Bran was waiting the entire episode for an old friend, and at the end of the episode you saw that that person he was waiting for was Jaime. So if Bran knows that they need Jaime for something and can convince his siblings of that, I think he's going to be okay. But
I think Jaime would be a great asset to the
Oh,
North,
for sure.
obviously. So I'm not sure how everyone's going to take to another Lannister. I mean, obviously they kind of embrace Tyrion, but I think
Well, he's also
I'm not
earned
really
it.
sure.
It's the earning it thing, right?
yeah, right.
Nick, what do you got on the Bran back after Brent says what he was going to say?
I think he gets Tyrion killed. I feel like Jaime is going to get Tyrion. Like, Tyrion's running out of straws. I think maybe that's my bold prediction.
Well, both of them are being hunted now. Both of them are traitors, according to.
But they're both buddies with the one guy, the guy that's hunting them.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I'm thinking
pretty
like
good buddies with him. So I don't know.
I think it's over.
Do you think the Starks will kill him?
I think so. I think he's a popular character. Getting him killed in the second episode would be really, really.
They also showed him last season when he dropped his bag of coins when he was going to go shoot the dragon. He's not caring as much about money anymore. He's becoming attached to people and actually potential for camaraderie and kind of family kind of thing.
I don't think he dropped the coins on purpose.
He didn't drop the coins on purpose, but there's like a specific pause where he looks at the coins, looks at the crossbow, and just shakes his head and goes for the crossbow right. When he could have grabbed the coins and just got out of there.
You're right.
So I'd like to make it glaringly obvious what's going to happen for you guys.
All right.
Remember the earlier seasons with Tyrion Lannister and Bronn and their adventures? And Tyrion is marching off really confident after, talking with Bronn for a while. And he basically tells him, hey, remember, tell me if they ever have a price.
I'll pay double.
So I
like being alive.
You think Bran will join Tyrion and Jaime?
No doubt at all.
Oh, you think he will?
Tyrion's going to double the chests of gold.
Tyrion's not going to die in the first 3 episodes. I
don't think Jaime will either.
I'd like to see it. I would like to see it.
If you have a little more knowledge of the lore, now I might eat my words because these writers are horrible, but if you have a little more knowledge of the lore and everything that's supposed to happen, there's 0 chance of either of those 2 characters dying in the next episode. Maybe in a crazy twist in episode 3 when they have the battle for Winterfell, but not in the number 2.
I could see that.
I'm super excited.
You got to have Jaime on trial the whole episode. You don't just put him on trial and kill him. He doesn't venture north all that way to show up at the end of 1, have a trial at 2, and
he's not going to die in the next episode. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the writers are bad. They're not that bad. I mean, that's just not plausible. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. So that was episode 44 of If I May. I hope you all enjoyed. There's a new episode every Thursday. You can support us. There's some merch available. You can subscribe, share, rate, and review. If you want to get in contact with us to give ideas about topics you want to hear in the future episodes, you can DM us on Twitter at ZaraBust or email zarabust@gmail.com. Have a great Thursday, and we'll see you next week.